I know baseball is over. It's been over for almost a week now. But man, I am just still on a high from the postseason. The postseason lived up to pretty much every expectation and more this year. Again, you can go back in my videos from the summer. I kept saying I don't know who's gonna win the championship this year. It was so open. It really could have been anyone this year. I mean, again, you look at the NL. It was obviously the Dodgers, but there was questions about the bullpen, which honestly were pretty valid, seeing how some of the playoffs went. I had a lot of faith in my Phillies. They didn't get it done. The Brewers were the number one seed. Were they fraudulent? Could the Cubs, could they get all the way to the World Series with just their hitting? There was so much, and that was just the NL. Then you get to the AL, again, Seattle, are they legit this year? Is this the year? You make all those moves at the deadline and it actually ends up working, especially with the Cal Raleigh series. Are the Yankees doing their thing? They're making a late season push. Same with the Blue Jays. They end up winning their division, but are they legit? The Tigers, is it enough with their pitching? There was just so much going into this postseason, and again, it was pretty much Pandora's box. It was wide open. And I just wanted to kind of talk about how crazy this postseason was because, number one, it lived up to the expectations, if not even more. And there really were so many great moments and series, both from players and teams. It was just fantastic stuff. So let's get into it. First, we'll start with the wild card. Detroit and Cleveland. That was a great series in my opinion. That one obviously ended in 3 out of 3 games. And the really what made this one so big for me was all the storylines heading into the series. Detroit fumbling that 15.5 game lead for the division. They also were either swept or lost 2 of 3 to Cleveland for Cleveland to take the division. There was so much, the late game dramatics in game 2 and 3. Even in game 1, if I potentially forget that, it's been a little bit. But there was a lot of drama in that series. It was a great one, and that was just great baseball. And that was just the wild card. That was just starting it off with the wild card. The Red Sox and the Yankees was also a great series. We saw some great managerial situations and kind of just some chess moves here and there from both guys. I also love what I saw from the pitchers, Schlittler, Crochet. There was a bunch of stuff in that one. It was just fantastic stuff. And even that game, too, that was a great game. Just seeing those historic rivals go at it in the first round as well lived up to the hype, in my opinion. As much as it pains me to say, Dodgers-Phillies was a great, great series. As a Phillies fan, it still hurts, but we, again, saw some fantastic pitching performances from both sides, honestly. I mean, again, Blake Snell, I thought he did really good in Game 2. Jesus Luzardo, the entire series. Even, of course, Game 4. I hate talking about it, but it was an all-time game. The Kirkering moment, Christopher Sanchez laying it all on the line in that game. There was just really so much in that series. That might have been borderline the World Series if we really look back at it on just how the rest of at least the NL played out. But still, that was a great series, and again, it was cool seeing the two big, really, I would say the two not necessarily best teams in the NL, but the two powerhouses go against each other, and they haven't even played each other in the postseason in the last couple years prior to this year. So it was really cool getting to see that matchup as well. Cubs Brewers was great as well. That one went 5. The Brewers go up 2-0 just for them to go down 2-2. And then again, they get it done in Game 5 to go to the NLCS to finally get over, their playoff woes because, again, they weren't winning many playoff series leading up to this. And, again, we had questions. Are the Brewers actually legit this year? And going into that series and seeing the product that they produced, I was like, okay, they maybe can do it. Obviously, they didn't, and we'll talk about that in a second. But still, I thought that was a great series. You also have the division battle with the Midwest teams. There was just a lot of drama in that series as well, and I really, really enjoyed that one. Seattle and Detroit also lived up to the hype. I honestly thought that was going to go 4 games. It went 5, and then we had that all-time game ending in the 15th inning with a walk-off for Seattle. Seattle had a beautiful moment. You saw Skubal do a great job in the series as well, him really laying it out all out on the line. That, again, was just another great series. Did I think it was going to be that good? No, but it ended up being that good. And, again, baseball is so unpredictable at times. You can think this series is going to be a wash or it's going to be okay at best. No, and it ends up being not necessarily a classic, but ending on a Game 5 in 15 innings on a walk-off, yeah, that was some great stuff. I know this series wasn't competitive, but seeing the Blue Jays beat the Yankees in 4, the Blue Jays scored 34 runs in a 4-game series. I don't think people have talked about that enough. I know it's irrelevant now because they lost the World Series, but still, 34 runs in a 4-game series? 23 runs scored in just the first 2 games. That was fun to watch. It was pretty much batting practice. You just saw the Blue Jays tee off on the Yankees the entire series. And the Yankees actually scored a decent amount of runs, too. It just obviously wasn't enough when you're letting up 23 runs in the first two games, 34 runs overall for the entire series. That's just not going to be enough. But from pure entertainment, yes, I wish it was a little bit more competitive at times. But, man, it was still fun to see those teams rake. It was a really, really great watch. I even enjoyed Dodgers Brewers. I know it was a 4-0 sweep, but I think the fact that, number one, the Dodgers swept them, I haven't seen domination in that form, in that fashion, in really a long time, to go to the World Series as well. And then what really was the icing on the cake for me in this series was the just performances from the Dodgers. Blake Snell in the first game goes 8 innings, absolutely great outing. And then Yamamoto to make it 2-0 to go back to LA in Milwaukee, decides to go pitch a freaking complete game. He does a great job. And then, of course, Game 4 was cinema. We saw what Ohtani did. He stamped himself as really one of the best, if not the best player of all time. I know it's a little early to be saying that, but he already has 2 rings. But regardless, that's a whole other conversation for another day. Maybe a video can be done on that one. But he had one of, if not the best individual game I've probably ever seen in my entire life. 3 home runs. He pitches and gets 10 Ks as well. He single-handedly led the Dodgers to the World Series that day. It was just, again, one of an all-time game, all-time performance. And yes, I know it was a 4-0 sweep, but it was probably one of the most entertaining 4-0 sweeps I've seen in a really, really long time. And then we get to the ALCS, Mariners-Jays, the 7-game series. I thought that was probably going to be the best series we were going to see, and we'll get into the better one in just a second, but the Mariners go into Toronto, they go up 2-0 just like that. I was like, okay, maybe this series is a wash. But the Jays fight back. They make it 2-2. But then we get to an all-time game in Game 5. The Mariners, they come from behind, not by much, but still. Cal Raleigh, he will tie the game with a home run to make it 2-2. And then, of course, in I think it was the 8th inning, Suarez has the grand slam to make it 3-2. He sends Seattle into an absolute frenzy. And at that point, I think most people were believing, oh my gosh, Seattle, the moment is here. This feels like it's their year, or at least to get to the World Series. And then Toronto works their magic. They win Game 6, and then in Game 7, in the 7th inning, when they're down by 2, you had 2 guys on base. Mr. Springer himself hits a huge home run, pretty much to send the Blue Jays to the World Series. I mean, again, I didn't think that any series could be better than that one. But then we get to the World Series, and you guys all know about that. Toronto is going to start the World Series with an absolute blowout. I feel like they really set the entire baseball nation kind of on notice with that one. But then again, in Game 2, in Toronto, on the road, the Dodgers, they win Game 2 thanks to Yamamoto pitching another complete game. Then we go to Game 3, an all-time classic, an 18-inning game, of course ended by a Freddie Freeman walk-off. Like, what else? But then, when you think the Dodgers have all the momentum after that, the Blue Jays then go win 2 straight. Savage does a fantastic job in Game 5. That was some beautiful stuff. And then my mindset was like, okay, the series is still open, but you're going to, probably favor the team that has 2 home games to finish off the World Series. But that's not the case. We get to Game 6. The ball gets wedged in the back. That might have been, a game-winning play, but it wasn't. The Dodgers, they end up stealing Game 6. And then Game 7, an all-time game. The Blue Jays lead early with the Bo Bichette home run to be up 3-0. And then they do get one more run, but the Dodgers just continue to fight back. Max Muncy gets it started to make it 4-3. And then Miggy Rowe, he makes it 4-4 in the 9th inning. And then in the 10th, Will Smith, 5-4, another solo shot. 3 straight solo shots to crush the hearts of Toronto and all of Canada. And then, of course, on no rest, Yamamoto closes out the World Series. I don't think you can write the script better than that. I really don't think you can write the script better than that. Again, playoff baseball is one of one. It is arguably the best postseason in all of sports, in my opinion. It really is, and I don't say that lightly because I do really value the NFL playoffs. I do value, the Champions League. I do value all these, the March Madness, everything. There's so many sports, NBA, everything, hockey. But man, playoff baseball is just a different animal. It's a different animal. And it really makes my entire October. And it makes watching the regular season completely worth it every single year. Because I'm always thinking from the end of March, pretty much to the beginning of October. Who's going to win the championship? Who's going to have these moments this year? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And, playoff baseball just takes you on this crazy ride through October. It's fantastic. I freaking love it. It's just a great time. Does it kill my sleep sometimes? Yes, it does. But is it worth it every single time? Yes, it is. I don't know. Great stuff. Love playoff baseball, and just wanted to highlight how crazy of a postseason we got this year, and just how crazy this last month of baseball was, because it was just, again, the meme, it was pure cinema. It was pure cinema, and I absolutely enjoyed every single moment of it. But yeah, that's all I had in this one. Just wanted to gush about baseball one last time, at least about the 2025 season, before we move on and start talking about free agents and all that stuff. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys thought about this year's playoffs. Did it live up to the hype for you? Do you guys have any favorite series for you guys? And please let me know them down in the comments. I'll be responding and looking at those. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like. If you like my type of content, feel free to subscribe. We're going to be continuing to break down the MLB and a lot of other sports. And if you're interested in any of my short-term content, that will be in the description down below. And last, if you made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate you. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.